Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
All right, welcome to Getting to Know You. My name is Joe Nash, and today we're going to be getting to know the Center for Disability Services, and we have with us two people from there. Ann Costigan, who is the executive, what was that again?
Deputy Executive Director of the Foundation.
Okay, and Rich Vassi, who is one of his jobs is the Aquatics Director, but what is your other?
Director of Wellness and Aquatics at the center.
Okay.
And we run obviously the aquatic therapy pool and other services there.
Well, one thing, I guess a good place to start would be, you're located there on end of Manning Boulevard, across from St. Peter's. We've all been by there many times. And actually working here in the library, some of your residents come in occasionally. So I know of your place, but I didn't know that, I thought it was that one building, but it's obviously this big, you have 80 locations, you serve 15,000 people. So why don't we start by telling us about the size and scope of the Center for Disability Services.
Okay, well, as you said, Joe, we service 15,000 individuals with disabilities, and we service infants through senior citizens. We do have 85 locations within 9 counties in upstate New York, and actually we draw from 27 states.
Okay.
We do have day services and residential services. We have an education program, many health services, and a dental, as well as evaluation services, which many of the people from other states utilize.
Well, I mean, yes, your services, I'm looking here, you have over a dozen services, which we'll talk about, but before we do, I was about to ask you about the mission. I just want to read your mission statement here, because most times when people say mission statement, they go running for the hills, but yours is one sentence long and it's great. It just says, to enable and empower people, primarily those with disabilities, to lead healthy and enriched lives. So how is disabilities defined for purposes of your organization to get your services? How would you define?
Well, man, it's as individual as the individual. Some people certainly have more physical challenges than others, while, the latest, if you'd have to call it an explosion of autism and the autism and the Asperger's spectrum, which has been, I would say, a relatively new diagnosis that we've had to serve and have served over the years. And, a lot of behavioral issues, are brought up in treating, that.
You're seeing more autism as opposed to what you traditionally.
I think everybody is.
Yeah.
I think many agencies are,
is,
and we certainly are as well. And, it takes a different approach in terms of behavioral approaches and, having the students, doing a better job in the classrooms and transitioning from a classroom to a community activity, or to, in my case, to the pool and to a swim lesson. And so many things have to be considered in terms of, providing the treatment for that kid or that child, that, the noise level, the stimulation level, and so many other things. So when you say, how do you define a disability, man, even within that description I just gave you, there's a million other examples for each kid in that same condition.
And it also says in here, disabilities and chronic medical conditions also. What are some of those that people would use for your?
It's arthritis. We do a lot of,
and as far as disability goes, the center started out serving people who had cerebral palsy. Over 65 years ago.
With just that one?
It was pretty much people with cerebral palsy. Some people may have been mentally retarded, some of the children, but some of them cognitively were very high functioning. And the center has grown to an organization that services people who are very profoundly disabled and medically frail, to also serving people who may need a job coach to successfully achieve a job, or some other very minor service just to really get better at life and to attain the quality of life that they so desire.
It says on your website, which I'll mention many times, it's cfdsny.org. It's a very good website. It'll be appearing right here as I speak. But
okay.
It's got
Thank you for that.
You can you could be on there for hours. I mean, it's really good. It's got all your services, but your organization now, it says it's one of the largest employers in the Capital District. It's
Yes.
2,400
people.
employees, and like I say, you're in 8 counties. You have 80 locations. Well, I guess now we could start with, how do people get your services? I mean, I've never known how this works. Do they join? Do they get referred? Do they qualify? How do they get there?
It's funny, every time he asks a question, I want to go answer the one he asked before.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm asking too many.
No, that's okay, because as Ann was talking about, how we've grown over the years, and then you were asking about, how do you define disabilities?
Yeah. Right.
What struck me was our various residential programs.
Absolutely.
And we have some a few years ago, more than a few, we were heavily involved in the ICFs.
Yes.
Which was an intermediate care facility, which required more staffing, more medical needs. And now we also address people who are more medically frail in another site. While on the other hand, we have other sites, supportive living programs,
Absolutely.
apartment programs where
More
people
independent.
need very little support, although they do receive support. It's certainly a lot less than
Right.
a typical community residence or an ICF or a medically frail. So when
And
you
then
ask,
we run a skilled nursing facility
Right.
for pediatric as well as young adults.
Well, I had the services. I was going to come to that.
okay, so I think that might put a finer point on.
We're so proud of our services, Joe, that we just want to
We're not gonna
brag
get
about them.
off track. Now, what else do you have?
But as far as referrals go, people get referred to the center in many different ways. They can come through a physician. They can just come through word of mouth. They can come through school districts. Or they can, just like you, go on our website, have a need, identify something within their child and say, I think they need to come to the center to see if this is something that they can help us out
Well,
with.
do most people that use your services start as children or young people? And
It
then-
depends. It depends. You can come as a child, or many people who are in accidents, skiing accidents, snowboarding accidents, car accidents, that acquire a disability in life. They will come to us as young adults or even adults, or someone who may have multiple sclerosis or muscular dystrophy or some sort of a disability that really, gets worse as they get older.
Well, I saw you have a separate multiple sclerosis
care center.
place.
Yes, we do.
Well, then now that would bring us to our services now.
Sure.
You have over a dozen services you offer, and I'll just read a few. You train people for employment. You have residential services. You have the St. Margarets Center, which is for infants. You have respite services. You provide transportation. You have medical equipment. You do things for people in their home and their school. So we could be here for hours. But so, there's such a wide range. Why don't we just talk about a few of these?
Well, how about one that's near and dear to my heart?
Okay, well,
respite
Yes.
services.
Respite. Very
it's
important.
a wonderful program, and I've said more than once about my wife and my son and myself's personal situation. My son's autistic, and he receives services from the center. One of them is respite services, and it's a godsend. When you're providing care, and not just us, but any parent.
It's for so you can get sort of a break from
You get a break. You get a weekend. You arrange it through your service coordinator or other provider, and you get a Saturday or a Friday and Saturday overnight.
And these are for people who are caring basically 24 hours a day
Right.
Yes.
to whatever
Yes,
the
they are.
situation is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they provide a nice weekend for your child and a better weekend for the parents.
And it also provides an opportunity for parents to spend time with their other children or their other loved
Absolutely.
ones.
Yeah.
And you have it says Clover Patch Camp. That's a camp for kids in the summer.
Kids and adults, actually,
Okay.
people with disabilities. It's an overnight camp experience for about 145 campers, children and adults with disabilities. And we also run a day camp, Camp Spectacular, for children who are autistic or are on the autism spectrum.
So once someone sort of gets your services, I guess, and how is this all? What are some of the ways? I guess you could say this is all paid for. I know you have a $100 million budget or more,
Right.
but
Yes, we do.
let's talk about some of the cost, I guess.
Well, about 98% of the center is funded through state and federal government, through Medicaid and Medicare. And the other way that we fund it is through our fundraising activities as well as our commercial services division. And our fundraising activities, obviously, are through the generosity of the community. And then as far as our commercial services, we have a mail sort, pre-sort mail business where we employ people with disabilities and those who do not have disabilities. And we do labeling and sorting and barcoding and just full service mailings.
Okay. Now, do you train some of your residents, some of your clients, I should
Yes,
say,
we do.
for jobs?
Yes, we
That's
do.
another service
Within
you have.
our supported employment program, we train many adults with disabilities to go out and work in community jobs.
Oh, okay.
You know, when Ann was talking about the telethon as well, now this has been going on,
That's right, you have the annual telethon.
the annual telethon.
Our 50th will be in
I was
January of
just gonna-
2010.
I was going to
Our
say, this has been
50th
going on
telethon.
for 20 years, but that would have been a denial on my part, because that would mean that we're all getting...
Right.
But it's been on for 50 years, and if you think about how this telethon has evolved, and how the community itself has, you talk about the various funding sources, but when you look at the way the community has embraced this center over the years, and the commitment they have made to our population and to the services that we provide, it's so impressive, because these are people that we've never met them, but they're always willing to pick up a phone, every third Sunday in January,
Sometimes
thereabouts,
the fourth, yeah.
to make a donation. And every year they surpass the year before. Not because, they're swimming in funds, but because they have certainly, as Ann said, embraced, our agency over the years. They've grown with us. They have seen the progress that we've made and provided for the people we serve. And they have, and it really is, I think that is the backbone of who we are.
Absolutely
and what we do
is.
is the people within the community who see it and support it in larger numbers every year than the year before.
Well, on the website, there is a spot there that talks about how you can donate, or the various fundraisers that you have. We'll talk about a few, in a few minutes, but you have a lot.
Joe, just an important point about the telethon too is this is our 50th telethon. It is the oldest running telethon in the country.
Older than Jerry Lewis?
Absolutely, it is. It is older than Jerry Lewis. It is older than Children's Hospital. We actually preempted the national CP telethon. So our telethon in this community preempted that.
And it'll be on in January.
Yes, it'll be on in January on
Okay.
Fox 23 News.
Oh, good. Some of your, what was I going to ask you? Some of your services you provide not only at your locations, but at schools and in people's homes. And could you talk about some of those kind of things that you?
Well, the ones that first come to mind is the preschool services, where a lot of the kids will get their therapies before going into preschool at home. Whether it be a physical therapist will come to the home.
Someone from Center for Disability
Yes.
Services goes to the
Yes.
home.
Goes to the
One of
home.
our therapists.
Yeah,
One
and
of our
provides
licensed
physical
therapists.
therapy or occupational therapy, using utensils, getting practice, if you will, about what's going to be expected in the day-to-day when your child enters preschool, working on the gross and fine motor activities that are so important, using a crayon, using a pen, using a spoon, snaps and buttons and things like that, and provide that in the home.
And
for
respite
the child.
services, I think, within the home also, Rich.
Respite, I think, is under Reshab,
Right,
or
Reshab
services, where you can have a staff person come to your home and provide the services for your child, the activity, the community activity, the supervision, the safety, of course, and all that, while you and your wife, go out, go shopping, or what have you, or they, the Reshab worker, as another service that we provide, come to the home and take your child out on a community outing. Take your child out on, whether it be a shopping or, a ball game or what have you.
Well, you are big on the respite services, Rich. Right?
Yeah, I am. I absolutely am.
Well, you have personal experience.
Certainly. Yeah, well, it does. It has quite a value. It has,
Sure,
it
it
has
does.
quite a value to
Now,
it.
when it's for schools, how does that work? When he says they go to schools, do they go to, is it a regular?
Sure,
kids
they
are
would
in
go to just a
regular-
community school, and they would provide a service within that classroom to an individual. So again, an individual therapy, a speech therapist may go in, or an occupational therapist, or a physical therapist, and work with that child within their community school setting.
Okay.
So then that child would go to their regular community school and then receive services from us within that program.
It's another layer of support within the traditional school setting that makes, that child's placement in the traditional school setting possible.
Successful.
So they're able to stay in the
Absolutely.
traditional school.
And
Yeah. I
be
was gonna say
successful
regular
within
school.
that.
One of your services is you provide medical equipment for people with disabilities, again, a wide range. What are some of these kinds of?
That would be assistive technology.
Right.
Wheelchairs, communication devices, any sort of adapted equipment that a person may need. head pointers, for a person who may want to work with a computer but doesn't have the dexterity within their fingers or whatever to work that. They would put a head pointer on and then work it through that. Wheelchairs for people to get around. We actually custom design wheelchairs and do seating molds for people with disabilities. And most of the people that we service within our Langen School and many of our other programs have to be custom made. They're wheelchairs, and we provide that through our assistive technology.
And then people, do you bring them to their people in their homes and they get to?
Sure we do.
Okay.
And also through communication devices. And many of those can be, very simple, where a person would use pictures, a picture system to communicate, or they can be a $10,000 communication device that's a voice speaks for them and communicates with them.
She didn't mention, so I will. A couple of years ago, there was a news story where a child's customized wheelchair was stolen. Anne found out about this, and
I think I remember that.
That child was not without a wheelchair for very long.
Yeah.
Once she got her, once the boys were in the air, so to speak.
Yes.
And we were
And the
able
media
to,
very much helped us with that.
we were able to obtain a wheelchair for that child, so that the person didn't have to go without for very long. And,
They actually found that wheelchair, but when they uncovered it, there was so much damage because it was buried in the basement somewhere that we decided that we were going to replace that wheelchair 100%.
Stealing
Fundraise dollars
wheelchairs.
did
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
it's amazing.
Some of the rehabilitation services. Now, Rich, you're part of the aquatics thing, but it's only a sub part of, I guess, the whole.
Our health services.
Now, are these for residents and people can just come for the day?
We do a lot of community therapies, outpatient services is where we serve the community, whether it be physical therapy again in the pool. Could have been an injury, could have been chronic pain, arthritis, etc. And it's a typical system, just like anybody else. You get a referral from your doctor, and we'll provide the PT and OT.
So it isn't just a pool. You have a wide.
Right. We have on-land therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy as well, and speech. But in the pool, we have a 94-degree therapeutic pool.
Okay.
It's 4 feet 11 inches deep, and you can provide. It's a very successful, very beneficial program for anybody who's interested in participating. And if you need physical therapy and your doctor thinks that the pool would enhance the program, then
so as long as you somehow have some kind of disability, you can get into this?
Disability, injury, or what have you.
Injury.
If you or I were to turn an ankle, tear up a knee, we can certainly use the Center for Disability Services for your rehab.
Okay.
Although we also use it for swim lessons. I have a daughter who is 12-year-old who learned to swim at the center. She was within our preschool program. And I have a great nephew who presently takes swim lessons with Rich. And we also have birthday parties on weekends.
We do birthday parties, we do swimming lessons.
Interested.
And on our way here, we had to stop by the pool, see how things are going. We have a water arts program. We worked with Mayor Jennings. How long has this been now? 3 years?
3 years it has to be now.
3 years ago, there was a group of seniors that lost their pool and needed a place to have a program. And we met with the mayor, and we walked through the Aquatic Center this morning. There was about 15 seniors,
having the time of their lives,
enjoying 94 degrees of
well, I swim at the
aquatic
Y,
splendor.
And then people are always complaining about how cold it is. I mean, 94 is probably.
They should come over to the center.
Just come on over. No live swimming though.
And I think what we're talking about is the center is a community resource, and that people use it who have disabilities and people who do not have disabilities. There are also some programs and services for them also.
Okay.
In our medical, we have full primary care at the center. We also have many specialty services such as neurology and dermatology and podiatry, and any sort of specialist from the community. They will come into our center and provide those services, and we have a full dental unit also.
I know. I was going to say, I'll just say this again, but it's cfdsny.org, and it'll be right here. The range, when you go to our services, there's like 15 different services, what we've been talking about, and each one,
Many sub-services.
there's sub-services, I guess you could say.
And we offer these programs in the evening on the weekends.
We were open 24.
Yes, we
I
are
would think you were
24/7.
Well, no, when I was
Some of
when I-
them,
well,
the
when I-
residential programs.
Right, the residential
but-
programs are. But when we talk about our group therapies
Oh, okay.
and our other activities like that, those are offered and during the evenings, on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you typically can't get in to see your physical therapist, you know, between their hours, our hours are a bit expanded and extended to meet the needs of the community.
So many people are people can be referred to you guys.
Yes.
through their
Absolutely.
doctor.
Yes,
Right,
they can.
exactly.
Okay. One thing that I found pretty interesting tell us about this St. Margaret's Center, which is for it's for infants. What is
Well,
that?
actually, St. Margaret's Center, we celebrated 125 years of service last year. And St. Margaret's Center started as a pediatric nursing home for infants. But since it's been affiliated with the center, it has grown into a pediatric nursing home for infants, young children, as well as young adults up to about age 33. But they can actually grow older with us now. And the reason we did that is many children who were serviced at St. Margaret's Center, and these are very, very profoundly disabled, medically frail children, once they turned to the age of 16, they would have to go into a geriatric nursing home. And since obviously that was not within the mission of the Center for Disability Services, as well as many families, we worked with government and we expanded the age range, and now we can keep those people with us forever, which is really nice because this St. Margaret's Center started out as their home, and we'd like it to be their home forever.
Are these kids that are they abandoned, or do
Some
their
of the
family
children
come?
are.
Okay.
Some of them do have active families, but many of the children at St. Margaret's Center do not. Some of them are children who have parents who have been incarcerated. Some of them have been abused, shaken baby syndrome, and drownings, and horrific stories like that. Many of the children there are, but then there are children who do have active and supportive families. So and young adults also. So many of them do come through the court system. Because their parents are both incarcerated, or they have one parent and one is incarcerated, and then they stay with us for life.
But they also have the difficulties, though, or disabilities or whatever.
They have profound
Okay.
disabilities and medical frailties. And many of the children there are schooled within our Langen School, so they get to come to our Langen School every day, but many of them are very profoundly disabled and are schooled bedside. And in some of them, there are classrooms within St. Margaret's Center where we provide an education program for them there. It's a wonderful place.
You guys are saints, it sounds like.
The medically frailed students at St. Margaret's also participate in the pool, and we do it on a weekly basis. The transportation is provided from St. Margaret's site, which is just up the street from our pool. So we're able to provide a really quality experience for these guys. The flexibility that they receive once they're in the water. It's a one-on-one staffing, as you would imagine, in the water. But still, there's the range of motion activities that we're able to do with the kids in the water, and it's such an added benefit to the quality of their lives and that experience. Anyway,
I think I've heard you say in your radio days, doesn't the water sort of have some kind of
it certainly is a
calming
calming.
effect. Yes,
it does
it
have a
does.
certainly calming effect.
A therapeutic relaxation.
No question about it, and
Absolutely.
it enhances the quality of the therapy that you're getting because it does provide, a natural or enhanced flexibility just by getting in the water. You're already relaxed, so you're more prone to benefit from getting more range of motion because
And many
your
of our
muscles are more
therapists get
agreeable.
right in the water with the children
Yes,
and
they
the
do.
adults, and they
Right.
work right with them within the water. So.
Why don't we talk now a little bit about, because this I think is one of your bigger, maybe it's one of your biggers, I'm just thinking it might be, but what about the residential services where people actually live in some of your locations? I mean, how big of a component is that of your?
We have 53 residential sites throughout this community.
53 places where people live?
53
Okay.
homes, yep.
Okay.
And then on top of that, we have various apartment settings, some who are more supervised living, and then we have people who just live independently within apartments that have much less supervision. But our residential services, they're really throughout the 9 counties that we service as far as locations, but they are homes within neighborhoods.
And how many people live in these?
About 400
400?
people.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, like I say, the range of services is so wide here.
Joan, people within those residential settings are people who are very profoundly disabled again and somewhat medically frail, and up to people who are living more independently within the community.
And they all have, obviously, people they have counselors there and they take care of them.
Sure, we have direct care staff. In many of our residences, the 53 homes, 24 hours a day to be with these people. But many of the people who live within our residential programs attend our day programs or other day programs throughout the community. And if you live within our residential program, you are very active within the community that you live in.
Well, like I say, working in the library, I think occasionally some of the residents come in.
We have several residences in the town of Colonie, and the town of Colonie is very welcoming to our people, which is wonderful for us.
And if you think about the history of this, it hasn't been a very long history, but a lot of progress has been made in a very short amount of time. You're talking about 30 years, 40 years. If you turn the clock back 30 or 40 years, I think you'd see a little bit different of a picture than you see today. And in terms of the community supports, the expansion of the residential programs, et cetera, which has just been a phenomenal asset to the community that they come into.
Yes,
well, I think we were talking before we started about talking about the old days, this Willowbrook place. If you go back 30 or 40, even longer, I would say that some of these places were horrific.
Absolutely.
I mean,
many of the institutions.
And once we found out about it as a society, we didn't stand for it anymore.
No.
Well, like I say, your Center for Disability Services, as we've been talking, I mean, I'm only scratching the surface here of the services you have, so you'd have to go to the website to find out, but it is pretty amazing, all that you offer, so.
Joe, many of the people from Willowbrook and the other developmental centers come to the center now. They live within our residential facilities and they come to our day programs.
You mean
from the original institutions?
Well, when we were just kids,
that's right. You've been there 20 years, you were telling me?
Over 20 years.
Working in residential programs, we've seen.
So when some of these things
closed down, the state would look to us to provide day program services as well as residential. And obviously we opened our arms and took many of those people, and many of them are with us today.
Well, now we're almost done here, but besides your telethon, you have some, we should talk about some of these because you have some famous people coming. You have fundraisers besides your telethon, and people can just give whenever they want, but you're having some events in June and July that maybe you could tell us about. One's going to be here in Colonie at the Prine House on June 18th. It's called an aficionado experience. Who's going to be there for this?
Well, our aficionado experience is sponsored by Northwestern Mutual Financial Network, and it is June 18th, and it will be at the Prine House in Colonie. It's a wonderful location. We absolutely love it. And actually, Bucky Dent will be coming in this year.
Will be here.
Last year, we were very fortunate to have Goose Gossage when he was going into the Hall of Fame, and he's a very dear friend of Bucky's. And Bucky Dent will be coming, and also Louis Tion has just notified us that he will be coming to our aficionado experience.
And this is, well, how can people, would they have to buy a ticket, or is it a?
Sure, they can go on our website and they can register there, or just give us a call at 944-2120, and they can register for that event. We'd love to have everyone come.
So you're having Bucky Dent and Louis Tion, they're going to be talking.
They're going to be signing autographs. They'll be talking, and there'll be wonderful food by Angela Mazzone and Glenn Sanders, and some drinks, and we'll have a really nice time.
Good. That sounds good.
Hopefully the weather cooperates. It'll be under tents at the Prine.
Now, on July 20th, you're having the CEFQ Golf Classic, which is also a fundraiser. What is this going to be?
Well, that will be at the Albany Country Club, and this year, kind of carrying out our theme of bringing in Hall of Famers, this year we'll be welcoming Jim Rice from the Red Sox.
And
actually, that's a little,
right?
He will be going in 6 days after he attends our fundraiser. Little different for us because we've always had Yankees at the center events. We're very close to the New York Yankees. We're bringing in a Red Sox, but we're very excited, and Jim Rice actually is really excited to come.
And is this, it says it's a golf classic, do people, you can play golf that day?
Yes, it's going to be actually we have sold about 30 foursomes now. So we have a couple foursomes left, and we may actually open up a round for the morning because there's so much support for this right now. But people, again, can go to our website or give us a call and participate in that.
And finally, we have in July, or July 28th, the Ciro's Cup. What is? Obviously, it would do with the races, but
Yeah,
what is that
Ciro's
all about?
Cup is an event that occurs on the eve of opening day, and it's at Ciro's Restaurant in Saratoga. And again, being a Hall of Fame theme that the center has embraced, we will be honoring Edgar Prado, who was he was actually put into the Hall of Fame last year, the Racing Hall of Fame, and we'll be honoring him. And that's a very nice cocktail party to celebrate the opening of the race course. Many jockeys come in, many trainers, many owners. It's just a lot of fun.
It's the day before.
Yes, it is opening day.
Okay. So all these are fundraisers, and there's information on the website,
And they all benefit the Center for Disability Services.
well, it sounds like the Center for Disability Services, you guys should all be in the Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thanks to the community.
So thanks for coming here. I was going to say my other show, Meet the Author, but this is Getting to Know You. So thanks for coming, and we really appreciate your stopping by.
Thank
you
you.
very much, Joe.
All right, well, that's it for Getting to Know You, and we'll see you next time.